Hello everybody, in today's video we're talking about the pros and cons of buying a vacation home. So if you've ever thought about what would it be like to own a second property, what does that entail, stay tuned because that's what we're talking about today. And I made the points in this video based on a couple of things. One is my own experience. My family has had a vacation home since the early 1990s. I myself do have a second home. I also am a real estate agent in a resort town. I live in Sedona, Arizona, and so a lot of the properties that I sell are second homes or vacation homes. And then the third thing is I have a resort and second property specialization, an RSPS designation from the National Association of Realtors. So based on my own experiences and some of the research I did on the internet, I came up with this list of pros and cons of buying a second property. My name is Dawn Dickinson. The channel is Living in Northern Arizona, where I'll teach you everything there is to know about living in the northern half of the state. As I said before, I am a real estate agent. I sell property in Sedona, Verde Valley, Flagstaff, and the Prescott area, sometimes Phoenix. So if you ever have a question about buying or selling a home, please give me a call. I will get back to you. My contact information is always in the description below. Okay, so the first advantage of having a second home is it provides you with a personal retreat. It's kind of customized to your own liking, someplace nice that you could go to and get away and escape with your family, even if it's just for a couple of days, a week, or if you want to spend a couple of months every year in a nice out-of-town area. You'll have your own place to call your home, and you can personalize it and go there on a whim to enjoy yourself and enjoy time with your family. The second reason people like to buy vacation homes is just convenient. You can have all of your stuff in your second home. You could have a few sets of clothing. You could have your dishes. You can have your shampoo and cosmetics. And so when you're ready to go, you just throw a bag in the car and drive up, and there you are. You don't have to spend a lot of time prepping and planning and shopping to get away for maybe a weekend retreat, especially if you have a vacation home that's close to where you live. I know a lot of people in northern Arizona have their primary residence in Phoenix, and they can just come up on a weekend or come up for a week. And even if you live out of state, still a lot of people have second homes in, say, Sedona or Flagstaff, and then they could make a quick plane reservation and fly in and spend some time in their second abode, or they can jump in the car and drive. So it's just very convenient to have a place that's your own. It's customized to your own taste, and you have some things in there, so it makes it easy to prep and travel. Number three is the potential for rental income. So there are a lot of places like Flagstaff or Sedona or Mundt Park, say, where if you're not here all the time, you might be able to rent your place out 1 or 2 weekends or 1 or 2 weeks during the year and make up if you have a mortgage, say, or just to cover some of the expenses of owning a second home. Now, I do want to tell you one thing that I have noticed. I have a lot of people that buy a second home here in Sedona where I live, and when they're looking for a home, they're looking at all the rental restrictions in the different area, because that's something you have to know about. In fact, that's why it's important that you have a real estate agent that knows the area you're moving to, because they kind of know all the rules and nuances of the area. But the point is, I'll have a lot of people that are shopping for a vacation home. They're very concerned about what the rental restrictions are, and then they move in, they're like, well, you know, I've decided I'm not going to rent my property because I don't want strangers coming in and living in my house. So that's just kind of a comical thing I've noticed, but still there is the potential to rent out your place and get some extra income if you're not worried about that kind of thing. Number four actually is probably a primary driver to, or a benefit to having a second home, is it's a good long-term investment. And though sometimes real estate is, we know it's cyclical, it goes up and down, prices go up and down, but overall prices tend to go up over time. So you might have a little dip in price here and there, but if you're going to hold a property for 10, 15, 20 years, chances are it's a good investment and you're going to make a lot of money on the home that you purchase. Again, we can't always guarantee what's going to happen with real estate prices, but Overall, it is a good, or it has been historically a good long-term investment to buy real estate, especially in markets that are attractive places for tourism. Number 5 is something people have noticed is you kind of assimilate into the local community. So like here in Sedona, or when I had a place near Flagstaff, you go there quite often, you get to know the people, you get to make friends, you get part of the community, even though you don't live there full time. You get to know people, you get to know the things that are going on in the areas, and you kind of become part of the local community. So that is a nice aspect of owning a second property. Number 6 is it is a great place to have family gatherings. I know a lot of people like to say, oh, we're going to have Thanksgiving every year at my vacation home, or maybe spend Christmas every year, have people fly in from other parts of the country and kind of have a central location where you could have family gatherings. I do live in Sedona. It's a very strong wedding destination. I think maybe in the future, if one of my kids wants to have a wedding, this would be a great place to host it. But just other family gatherings, or just like say you want to have a weekend with your brother or your sister or your cousins, you can have a great way to have everybody meet in one place and have great family gatherings in your vacation home. Number 7 is there may be some tax benefits to owning a second property. There might be some write-offs, like your second property taxes or possibly interest from your mortgage. However, I am not a tax accountant, so I don't want to say for sure what kind of tax benefits you can have. I would recommend you talking to a tax person, but there may be cases where there's an advantage tax-wise to own a second property. And I'd want you to do your research on your own to find out if that is something that would work for your own situation, because everyone's situation is a little bit different. Number 8, this is actually something I see quite a bit, is a transition to retirement. I get a lot of clients that are thinking of retiring in say 2, 5 to 10 years, and they don't want to stay where they currently live, so they buy a vacation home in the destination that they would like to retire, and then in the meantime they travel back and forth. They have great holidays, summers, weekends or week retreats at their second home, and then when they're ready to retire, they already have a place. They can just sell their primary house and move to the new destination full-time, and it makes it a little bit easy for you to transition to a new place for retirement. Number 9 is having a second property adds a little bit of a diversity into your investment portfolio, so that you don't have all of your money invested in one thing, like not putting all your money in your stock market or not putting all your money in rental property near your primary residence, because if that market goes a little bit south, if it dips a little bit, you might have a house in another market that's doing well. Same thing without keeping all your money in the stock market, because if that crashes, you now have real estate to kind of balance that out. So just for the diversity, again, I am not a financial advisor, but this is what some people cite, is having a diverse portfolio for your investment is definitely a good thing. Okay, before I move to the cons section of the video, I am going to tell you about a link to an article I have below by Smart Asset, and they gave the top 10 places they felt were great areas to buy a vacation home. And Flagstaff, Arizona is actually ranked in the article as number 5. Flagstaff is one of the areas that I sell property, so I just thought that was interesting. And if you, of course, are interested in buying a place in Flagstaff or Sedona or any of the northern Arizona towns, again, I do sell in those areas, so I would love it if you would reach out and give me a call. Okay, here are some of the cons to buying a vacation property. One, of course, is probably the biggest thing, is it's expensive. Cost. You know, the cost of a house, just a second house somewhere else, can be pretty high. And the other thing to consider is a lot of times the place that you're wanting to move to, the market has higher prices than your primary residence. So for instance, I actually am a little bit different than most people because my primary residence is in Sedona. And market here in Sedona, prices are probably 40% higher than in Phoenix, where most people have their primary residence. And my second home, my vacation home, is in Chandler. But you're going to buy a property, a house. House costs are expensive, so that's just one thing to think of. The cost of your house, of buying a whole new property, and often if you're looking into a resort town, the prices are going to be even higher than where you're living right now. And the other thing is also cost related is maintenance. You have to maintain the property even though you might not be there all the time. So you want to have a landscaper making sure the weeds don't grow in the yard, or if you are in the forest like in Flagstaff, Flagstaff. That was one of the issues I had when I had a Mormon Lake house, is I had an acre worth of pine needles to rake up. That can be very labor intensive or costly if you're going to hire somebody. Sometimes it's difficult to find somebody. And then again, if you have a issue with a leak in the roof or anything like that, you have to take care of it, and that can be costly. So that is the top two reasons probably against buying a vacation home, is just the cost of the property itself is going to be high, and then you have to sink money into it for the maintenance. But another thing, people are sometimes like, well, now I've got to spend all my vacations in just this one area. I still, even though I have a vacation property, and the reason I have it in Chandler is because I get to go visit my kids. Mostly not because I like to go to the Valley of Sun, but because it's close to my friends and family. So, but I have to maintain that place. I have to pay an HOA fee. I have to pay utilities on a place that is probably vacant 85% of the time. So that type of a thing. But then it's also like, oh, I can only take a vacation in Flagstaff, or oh, I can only take a vacation in Sedona. Not necessarily true, because you can still take trips to the other place, but you're going to find out you spend a lot of time in your vacation home, and sometimes you're like, wow, I'm kind of constrained, I'm kind of stuck to this one geographical location, and I wish I could explore a little more. So that's something that people complain about as a con to buying a second property. The other thing I just mentioned is, again, you still have to pay utilities and property taxes and HOA fee and homeowner's insurance on a vacation home. So again, not just the maintenance, like, fixing the broken air conditioning or fixing a roof leak. You have all those regular things like the property taxes that just cost to keep and own a second property. The other thing is travel costs. So a lot of people have vacation homes in the northern half that are traveling from Phoenix, and your travel cost basically is just, a couple hours of drive and a tank of gas. But if you're coming from out of state, that could be a little more difficult too, because you have to get airline tickets and maybe rent a car. So the travel costs getting to and from your destination. I always thought it would be great to have a place in Hawaii, but then when you look at the plane fare to get there and how long it takes, that's kind of a constraint to owning someplace a little bit further away from your home like that. The other thing, number 6, is it's illiquid. So if you need money quickly, it's like, well, it's not like I'm getting dividends. You can get some rental income like we talked about earlier, but you've got a lot of money that are tied up in an illiquid asset. So if you need cash, that makes it a little bit more difficult to get to it if you have it invested in a vacation property. So that's about it when it comes to the pros and cons of buying a vacation home. Now, my name is Dawn Dickinson. I am a realtor in northern Arizona. I do have a vacation home myself, so I'm very familiar. I sell quite a bit of these things. Probably half of my transactions are from vacation homes, and I do have the resort and second property specialist designation from the National Association of Realtors. So if you are interested in buying a vacation home, or any home actually in the state of Arizona, particularly in the northern half of the state, I would love it if you would reach out to me. My contact information is always in the description below. You can give me a call, text, email, and I will get back to you. Or go to my website and you could schedule a Zoom call or a phone call, and we can get in touch that way. The channel is Living in Northern Arizona. If you like the video, please do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. That helps other people find this type of content. And if you really like the information, please subscribe to the channel, because I post videos every single week, and I would love to see you back here on the channel again next week.